Yo guys, Tom Wedding back here again with another one of these valuable videos. In this one, I want to show you how I managed to turn a completely new Facebook group into a six-figure coaching business within just 90 days, right? Very exciting stuff. Not only do I want to show you what I did to do this, but also how I did it so that you can go out and take the exact same steps to grow your Facebook group into a six-figure or more coaching business or whatever you're selling, right? And so that's really the goal for this video, is hopefully to give you the how, not just the what. And also, I highly recommend you stick around to the end. I have an awesome bonus planned for the end. So for you guys who stick around to the end, you'll get this awesome bonus. Highly recommend staying for that. But without further ado, let's dive straight in. So the first thing I want to talk about is obviously the journey and the story of the Scale Hacks Facebook group. This is the group I obviously grew to six figures. And so this is what I want to kind of share with you, is the story and the journey that this group went through, and what you can take from it to really do with your own group, right? So first thing, obviously, it started at zero. All groups start at 0 members. That's kind of common sense. And my first goal, or first milestone, so to speak, was 800 group members, right? And so that was really where I was trying to go. Now, initially when starting this group, I had no plans to really sell anything on the back end, right? And so for a lot of these groups starting, you should never really be focused too much on selling. It should really be focused on building that community, building that audience first. Then you can look at starting to monetize. And I'm going to, as we go through this video, I'll kind of break down what I did to do that. But just keep in mind that this first phase here from 0 to 800 is really just focused on growth and connecting with the audience. And I'm going to break down a couple of different strategies and what I did with my group there in more depth in a second. But first, I want to talk about the actual growth aspect of this, right? Because I feel like a lot of people get stuck on this. They're like, well, cool, I have a Facebook group. I've invited a couple people. How do I grow this thing, right? How do I get more group members into my Facebook group? And so I want to show you exactly what I did to go from 0 to 800 in just 3 months. And then pretty much made a post from there, turned into a six-figure coaching business straight away, and scaled that thing out. So let me kind of show you how I grew this group from 0 to 800 members. So first things first, I found a bunch of groups where my ideal audience was hanging out. Now, obviously, first you have to be clear on who your ideal audience is. So for this group, I was targeting people in what's called the rank and rent space. Now, it's a very weird sub-niche of marketing agencies where people basically build websites, they rank them on Google, showing up on page number 1 for certain search terms, and then all of those leads that come through the website when they're on page 1, they send to a local business owner and charge them a monthly retainer. And so that's basically kind of what this model is. It's called the rank and rent model. Very weird, kind of niche thing, right? And there's not a whole lot of audiences or other Facebook groups out there for this industry, right? These 4 that are on the screen right now are the biggest ones on Facebook, the biggest groups on Facebook for this niche. So the biggest one there has 2,200 members, sorry. And there's like 570 members in the other one, 1.4 in the other one, 1.3 in the other one. And so these are the 4 biggest communities that have the ideal audience in them. Now, so what I basically did was I found these groups, and my goal was to really beat these and dominate these groups and really become the best in this space, which I ended up doing. And I'll show you how I got to that point. But obviously, let's talk first about going from 0 to 800. So I found these communities, right? And here's the process I went through to actually grow my group, right? So I would go to these communities and I would essentially add people in the group, send them friend requests, right? I wanted them to become my friend. And once they were your friend, what you can actually do is invite them to your group by using the invite button. So essentially, I would come in, I would send 20 to 30 of these friend requests per day, and then I would come in, look at all of the new friends for the day, and send them an invite to my group by basically using that invite button there, right? Very simple to do. You literally just click invite, select the friends, done, they're invited to the group. And a percentage of those people are going to accept your request to join the group, right? And so by doing this, you essentially grow your group very consistently, as long as you're doing this every day. And this is the only growth strategy I did to grow my group to, well, it's at 3,000 members now. And so that's literally the only growth strategy I've ever used. And eventually you start to show up in the Facebook search. So when people are searching for your niche, and they're looking for a group to join, your group's going to show up in the Facebook search. And that's why it's really important to have your niche in the title or in the name of your group, right? So my group has R&R growth, you can see in the name. So Scale Hacks R&R growth, and R&R stands for rank and rent, obviously. So people searching for rank and rent or R&R. Also in my about section, there's a lot of different words, keywords that get called out, like rank and rent and SEO and all this stuff. So that when people search for these types of things on Facebook, my group is showing up there for people to join. And that's how I get some free people joining from there. But otherwise, this is literally just the only growth strategy I did to get to 3,000 members now. But from 0 to 800, same thing, right? I would send 20 to 30 friend requests to relevant people, and then invite anyone who accepted that friend request into the group. And so that's pretty much the growth strategy. Now you should have group members. Let's talk about engagement and nurturing and content and all of that juicy stuff, because that's really when it starts to get to what I was kind of talking about before, is starting to build that connected audience and not just have like just group members sitting there for no reason. A lot of people kind of get to that point where they have a group of 500, 600 people sitting there and they're not really doing anything with it, right? They posted a couple bits of valuable content and that's really it. There's no real connection or real engagement, or the group's not really got a purpose. And so it's really important to kind of form these things with the group. And so I want to talk about that for a second. Now here's a couple of different pieces of content, but also kind of things that I did to really form what I like to call the founding members of your group. Now, every time you start a Facebook group, you should always be focused on founding members first before sales, right? Now, the reason why this is so important is because you're building an audience, right? You're building a connected, engaged audience that you want to have connection and authority with. Now, you cannot build connection and authority without having close relationships with at least some of the members. And these relationships I like to call your founding members. These are people that you literally give so much value. You give so much to them that they're like in your debt basically. And so they spend a lot of the time engaging in the group because they know your stuff's valuable. They trust you. They look at you as an authority. And it builds a lot of connection with the rest of the audience, because these people, these founding members, are commenting on all of your stuff. And so when new group members join, they see that this is happening and they're like, well, crap, like that's a lot of social proof, right? This Tom guy must know what he's talking about. And so when people see those founding members floating around your group, posting cool stuff like this, they really start to connect with the rest of the audience. So there's a couple different ideas here. So the first one, if you look at the far left, is I sent out basically a bunch of different swag items to people, right? T-shirts, mouse pads, all that kind of stuff. And so this guy had posted a picture of a mouse pad that he got from us, right? So with the Scale Hacks logo on it. And that was a great way to kind of build a little bit of connection with the audience, like give them some value, give them some pretty cool items. And we did this with a couple different people. And that was a really cool idea. Again, if you do giveaways and stuff like that, that can work great as well. And that's pretty much that. So the next one on the top in the middle is John. You can see John Cody. He said, just had an awesome clarity call with Tom Wedding. Super helpful. Got more insight into the areas I need to be focused on for my agency. Highly recommend connecting with Tom and having a powerful discussion with him. Right now, basically all that was me jumping on a 20-minute call with this guy, unpacking what he's doing, giving him a couple tips, tricks, and advice. And then asking him if he can comment in my group and make a post. And that's what he did, right? And people seeing this can see that, hey, well, crap, like, people are actually connecting with Tom. They're finding it valuable. Like, this guy must know what he's talking about. And it's these slow little pieces of social proof that really stack up. And again, I formed John Cody was a founding member for me, right? I formed that close relationship by just giving him value, right? I didn't ask him to buy anything from me. I just said, hey, dude, like, let me give you some value. Let me give you some tips, tricks, and advice, and let's roll from there. And that's pretty much how you form those founding members relationships, right? Like, I'm talking even giving people your whole program. Like, for example, if you look on the bottom right, that post from Brent Jacobs, I gave that guy my full program for free. I didn't ask him for a cent. I said, hey, dude, here's my full program. I know it can help you. Jump in, get some results. And he did, right? He ended up booking a ton of different appointments, and he started posting different posts. This wasn't the only post he made in the group. He made a ton of different posts, and I actually made a ton of different sales just from him posting those posts, right? So I got a ton of new clients just from him showing that, hey, dude, your Tom's program is the real shit, right? And so that's really when you create a lot of social proof, a lot of identity in the group, of authority. And building those founding members is really just by giving away a lot of that value. Also, top right, you can see asking people what they want to see in the group. That's one that I see commonly people do anyway, but just thought I'd mention it there as well. That's another important thing. And then obviously the bottom in the middle, you can see just value content, right? Just giving away valuable little things, but not fluffy little bullshit. Like, again, at the start of the video, I was kind of talking about like a lot of people, how they give away the what, but not the how. Right? And I think if you can actually give away the how as well, you're going to form a lot more close relationships with people. And so I highly recommend not just giving away the what, but also giving away the how. So that's pretty much how you're going to form your founding members. And this is really for your first 100, 200, 300 people in the group. I would be doing these kinds of strategies, just getting as many founding members as you can. If you can aim for like 20, 30, maybe even 50 of these founding member relationships, that's a really, really good place to be. The way I like to kind of explain it is give away so much value to the point where these people feel like they need to pay you, right? That's really the way I like to put it. So that's pretty much that for founding members. Now, again, yeah, I forgot I had this slide, but this slide is literally sums up founding members. Just over fucking deliver. Give them everything. Give them their program. Give them your program. Give them free coaching. Give them a one-to-one consult. Like, give them everything. Over fucking deliver for these people, because these relationships, I promise you, will benefit your group massively, and they will get you a ton more clients, right? Not getting paid by one person and instead giving them free value and shit can actually get you another 4 or 5 clients in return. So it's worth the time investment. It's worth the investment of over fucking delivering and giving away your program or whatever it is for free. And just keep that in mind. Over fucking deliver for your founding members. Next thing, let's talk about the next phase of this journey, right? So we kind of talked about going from 0 to 800. It's really about focusing on the founding members, building connection on authority, giving away a ton of value, and also growing the group, right? Getting people into the group, funneling people into the group. And we talked about how to do that, right? Again, I didn't just give you the what, I give you the how to do it. So hopefully that was really helpful. But now let's talk about taking the group from 800 members to 3,000 members and actually dominating the market, right? Which is what I did in this niche. Now, this is a lot harder for most of you people to do because your niches do have pretty substantially sized Facebook groups. My niche here, Rank and Rent, is a pretty small kind of sub-market niche that not many people know about. So I did have a lot of success dominating the market, but I also had a lot of problems with actually audience size and like having groups to pull from. So you guys are lucky there. But I want to talk about the journey I kind of went from after hitting 800 members and then getting to 3,000 members, where we actually dominated the market and became the biggest player in the space, right? So first thing is let's go through a couple different strategies I did within the actual group. So first thing is obviously doing a lot of what I like to call these 2-step posts, and these essentially like, hey, I've got XYZ resource, who wants it? Comment below, and you get a lot of engagement on those, which again boosts the post to more people, which is a great thing to do. But it also, what it does is it actually gives you a really easy way, an easy in to start conversations with people, right? Because it builds a lot of authority on the front end by like you showing that, hey, I have XYZ resource that you don't have. And then people comment, you're reaching out to them in Messenger and starting that conversation very naturally, because it's like, hey, I have this resource, here you go, like here's the resource, saw you comment, hope you find this useful. And then you kind of just start a conversation from there naturally, right? And it flows really easily for you to get into the process of like talking about their goals, their problems, their struggles, and then transitioning them into a booked call. And that's really the process you take people through, right? And so another thing here is also core content pieces. So you can see this ebook that I wrote here. This was a killer ebook. I spent a lot of time writing this thing. But you can see the copywriting in this. I can't see the full post. I might post the full post somewhere here because the copywriting for this post is like dialed in, perfectly on point, hits all of the problems, all of the roadblocks of the people in this niche. And that's why I got 379 comments. You can see there, 379 people commented wanting this ebook, and I still get comments in the group to this day of people wanting this ebook. And it's a very, very valuable ebook. I had a lot of people give me great feedback from it. So I highly recommend creating that core content piece, because that really gives you a lot more of an authority. But again, I would only do this once you kind of start to hit 500, 800 members, then start to look at building that core content piece. And this really kind of sits at the top of your group, right? So the first thing anyone sees when they're scrolling, when they click on your group name and they scroll through, the first post they should see is this resource here, this core content piece, because that is essentially like your authority builder, your easiest way to start conversations. Because again, it's the same thing as the two-step resources, right? It's like, hey guys, like, saw you commented about this resource. Here's the ebook. Let me know what you think about it and start a conversation, right? And so it's really, really simple to start a lot of conversations this way and lead people into booking a call with you to then obviously close them, right, as a client. And so this thing, I got a ton of different clients just from this ebook alone. Obviously, there's a call to action at the end of the ebook as well, which helped a lot. And also a couple different landing pages as well with other free trainings that push people to book a call. But all of those different things kind of gave me a lot of authority, booked a lot of calls, made a lot of sales, right? And so another thing at the bottom left I want to talk about is what I call borrowed authority, right? Now, this is taking other people who have massive authority in the space, getting them onto live streams, getting them onto the podcast or whatever you have, and making that post in the group, right? So people can see that you're associated with that person, right? I did this a ton of times, and also not just, I don't have any screenshots here on the screen, but also not just doing this in your group, but also jumping into other people's groups on live streams so that people in that community can see your face as well, is absolutely great way to do it. And this kind of takes a bit of skill to do because you've got to build really close relationships with the people you want to jump on these live streams with. So again, it's a little bit about giving value to them, helping them out, just connecting with them, building a relationship, showing that you guys can give value to each other. And then basically doing it, right? There was actually one of the groups I showed you before in my space that had the biggest one there, the 2.2K one. I actually did a joint partnership, a joint venture with that guy who runs the group, the admin of the group. So he sells a mini course. And so we basically cross-promoted in each other's groups, which was a great way to get a lot more traction and kind of steal a lot of the audience naturally, build that authority. But borrowed authority is a great way to do that. Again, just getting people onto a live stream, being in other people's groups, all of that kind of stuff there. And then also the last thing I tried, which worked fairly well, not the best thing I would recommend, but the post on the far right is what I like to call a basically working with us kind of post, right? And this is a post that maps out, like, it kind of clearly defines like what you guys do and how you help someone. And then kind of being like, well, if you want extra help, like comment below or reach out or some kind of call to action that way. But this didn't work the most amazing. I still would say that core content pieces and borrowed authority work the best out of everything in terms of starting conversations, building authority, building connection with the audience, showing that you can give value, all of that kind of stuff. Very, very key to building your group up. So that's kind of that. I talked a lot on this slide. But the next thing I want to talk about is how I made one post and made $13,000 in 24 hours, right? This was on a brand new offer. I was selling like a $1,500 coaching offer. And I only ever sold one-to-one coaching. And so I definitely needed something better to sell. If I could start all over again and do this group again, I would definitely sell a better offer because my offer was absolutely horrible. But this one post I made was basically one post I made in the group when we hit 800 members, and this post attracted a lot of conversations, and that netted me $13,000 in sales in just 24 hours after making that post. And so that's the power of when I talk about the founding members, right? Because a lot of these sales that came through were actually founding members, right? And so this 13K in 24 hours was from all of that front end work that I did, building those relationships, building the connections, showing that I have value, showing that I have authority, all of those little things that you don't see, that happened on the front end, building the group from 0 to 800, right? So I know it sounds like super weird, like saying, oh, you made one post and made $13,000 in 24 hours. That sounds crazy. It sounds insane. But when you look at the time investments spent up front, building your founding members and building the group structure in the right way, there was a lot of work that went into that to get to that point, right? But this is the kind of result that you guys can see if you do that front end work. And that's why I want to show you this, because it should inspire you to want to build your founding members and not look at it as like, that's not something valuable. Why would I do that? I should just sell to everyone, right? Don't look at it like that. Founding members, very, very important. Building relationships, building connection, giving value, building the group structure, super duper important. So next thing, monthly numbers. So obviously this was the evergreen group, so I never had like launches or anything like that. I did a couple launches here and there, but really this was an evergreen group, taking new group members every single month and then converting those new group members into clients, right? And that was just by having a group structure, right? A flow, a sequence that the group goes through, right? Right from when someone joins, they get tagged in a welcome post, then they start a conversation this way, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, and just having it mapped out, almost like a funnel, right? Think of your group as a funnel, because it essentially is, right? Someone joins your group, what is the process they go to turn into a client or to turn into a founding member, right? Map those processes out so that you can start to have consistent monthly numbers like this group was doing. So these were kind of the numbers I saw with my group: 150 to 250 new group members per month. And that was literally just doing the growth strategy that I showed you earlier, of adding people as friends, inviting them to the group, right? If you just do those two things alone, you get about 150 to 200 people joining your group per month, which is pretty good numbers. And then from there, we were starting about 180 new conversations every month with those people. 40 to 50 of those people actually got to a point where we sent them a calendar link to book a call. And then 30 to 45 people were actually booking a call on the calendar, right? Now, keep in mind, I was doing all of this without a team, right? I could have easily scaled this a lot further if I had a team in place with appointment setters, a sales team, all that kind of stuff. But this was all being done by myself. Now, I did eventually get a virtual assistant in to do the growth stuff for me and tagging people and messaging people initially. And so what I was doing was pretty much all of the conversations, all of the sales calls, and then obviously all of the client work as well, which was one-to-one. So my time was capped, so I definitely could have scaled these numbers with a team. But this is kind of what I saw happen. And so I was getting about 5 to 10 new clients per month. Now keep in mind, these were one-to-one clients, so I most of the time would be at capacity and not able to take that number on. But I did have 5 to 10 potential like people waiting to turn into a client, right? And so these kind of stacked up over time, and eventually I stopped doing conversations because I just couldn't handle the flow of it. And so my biggest problem at that point was to actually find a team of appointment setters, team of salespeople to actually scale this out. I did trial a couple different appointment setters, but nothing really kind of worked out. And that was really when I kind of just slowed things down, stopped things. But these were the numbers I was seeing every single month, right? And you can really start to see the power in having a Facebook group that's acting like a funnel, right? Where you've got new group members coming in, funneling from the top, and then they're going through a process to turn into your client, right? When you have that process optimized as fuck, like you're getting consistent new clients every month from your Facebook group, and it's very, very good. So that's that there. Now, one key thing to keep in mind here is these 7 things I want to go over. So when it comes to your Facebook group, patience is really your number one advantage, right? Now, it does take time to grow your group. Like I said, you're only going to grow about 100 to 200 members from the start per month. And so with those kind of numbers, it is a little bit slow to get that traction, right? So you've got to have patience to really stick with this, right? Because I see a lot of people, they grow their group to like 100, 200 members, then they kind of give up, right? When you've already done like half of the grunt work, you've just got to put in another half and you're already there, right? Again, I'll throw back to the example I just gave before of making one post and making 13K in 24 hours. If you want to get to that point, you need to be patient enough to put the work in on the front end, right? So patience, I really would say, is your number one advantage with your Facebook group. If you have the patience to stick it out and stick with it, I promise you it'll pay off in the long run. Second thing is focus on your founding members, right? I hope I drilled home the importance of this when you're starting your group, and the founding members, building those founding members, building those close relationships, really, really important. So I hope I stressed enough the importance of that. But really, if you focus on your founding members, everything else will kind of fall into place. Third thing is long-term vision, right? Don't look at the short-term like opportunities that you have within your group, like, oh, hey, someone wants to promote themselves in my group for a small fee. I'm going to let them do that. That kills your audience, kills your authority, kills your connection in the audience, right? You never want to be selling in the group because it looks very spammy. So think about the long-term vision of this, right? Where are you trying to get this audience to? What are you trying to do with it, right? How much authority are you trying to have? What is your goal with the group, and what is that long-term vision for you to focus on? Number 4 is always start with growth, right? Obviously, when you're at 0, you have to focus on getting people into your group first. And so that is the most important thing to start with. Focus on the growth. And again, I gave you the best growth strategy organically that works very, very consistently if you do it every single day. And it's literally just adding people as friends, inviting them to the group, right? Find where they hang out. We'll find out where your ideal audience is hanging out, add them as friends, invite them to the group, right? That is the most simple growth strategy, and always start with the growth. Number 5, never sell directly in your group. I briefly kind of mentioned it just before. Never ever sell in your group, right? You should be selling in Messenger or on phone calls, right? Ideally phone calls, right? You should never even be selling in Messenger even, right? The purpose of Messenger should be to give more value, connect with someone, find out more about their situation, and if you think you can help them, then get them onto a call, right? But never ever sell directly in your group, right? That means don't make posts like, hey, I have XYZ program, who wants it? Never make those types of posts in the group. No matter how cheeky you think you can be with it, everyone will always look at it as a spammy group, and so you never want that perception of your group. So don't kill your engagement, don't kill your audience by selling directly in the group. Number 6 is value. Obviously, just give a ton of value. It's really fucking as simple as that. Value is just really what can help people, right? Thinking about what are the biggest problems and struggles that people are having in my niche, and how can I impact them and give them value that actually resonates, right? Not just fluffy like, hey, here's how I built, this on Canva, right? No one gives a fuck, right? Give them value that's actually relevant to the problems they're going through, and that's going to work a lot better to build a lot of authority and connection in the group and show what you're talking about. Another thing with value is don't hold back. Like, don't be scared to give out a couple bits and pieces from your program and this and that. Like, give a lot of stuff. Give more than you receive, right? Because it's going to come back to you eventually, and that value is really important to build the foundation of your group. Number 7 is simplicity multiplied by time equals success, right? So if you're doing simple tasks, over time they become successful. And what that kind of means is, you look at the growth strategy, right? If you, for one day, sit down, add 30 friends, and then invite 3 or 4 people to the group, you might only get 1 group member. But when done over time, you'll get 200 to 300 group members per month. And all of a sudden, you've got a very successfully growing group, right? That's just growth. But think about this same concept of simplicity times time in terms of everything, right? Like in terms of engagement, in terms of content, in terms of monetization even. Like, what is the most simple way for me to do each of these things? And then how can I make sure I do that consistently over time to be successful, right? And that's really how I like to think about groups, is it's really just simplicity multiplied by time. All right, so that's pretty much that. One last piece of advice I want to leave to you, and these are probably keywords that I've said throughout this video a bunch of times, and you've probably heard me say them a bunch of times, but I would say these are probably the most important things to focus on in your group, right? When anyone asks me, okay, what's the purpose of the group? What's the main focus of the group? How would you sum it up? I always say these 2 words, right? Your biggest focus with your group is to build one connection with the audience. What that means is like really close relationships where people feel like they know, like, and trust you. Because as we know, that's when people are in a state of buying. And so we really want to create that connection with the audience, but also show that authority, right? So it's a little balance of both. You want to show not just the connection, the relationship building, but also the authority where you know what you're talking about, you're giving useful advice, useful value, and that's really, really important to do both, right? So whenever someone asks me what are the most important things to focus on for the group, I always say connection and authority. So that's pretty much that, guys. I hope you found this very, very valuable, and this is the bonus I was talking about at the end. I would love to do a free group audit for you. Nothing to sell you, just completely free group audit. I'd love to check out your group, have a look at it, see what you're doing well, what you could improve on, any tweaks you can make to make the flow work a lot better. If that's something you'd be interested in, shoot me a DM with the group link and I will take a look for you. I only can do a limited amount of these because I only have so much time that I have free. So I'll only do the first 10 to 20 people who send their link through. So if you want that, feel free to shoot me a message and I'll get that done for you as soon as I can. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you found this video valuable. Like I said, I didn't want to just give you the what, but also the how. And again, if you have any questions, any confusion around anything, feel free to shoot me a message as well. Always here to help, guys. Again, I am in the stage of building my founding members. So if you guys want value and you want to be helped in some way, please feel free to shoot me a message. I'd love to connect with you guys and give you some value. And then maybe there's a potential for us to work together as well. But really just want to give you a ton of value, guys. I hope you found this video very, very useful. And please let me know what your thoughts are. I would love to hear from you. That's pretty much it. Peace out.